Good morning. I don't think it's ever going to let up for you guys. You're busy, aren't you?
We are, today we will present, we'll talk about some of the stats. We don't have May stats yet, as it is only, June 2nd, although can you believe it's already June? We don't have June stats, but we can look at April stats. And then I would like to talk about we're actually seeing a little bit of a switch right now. We're actually seeing a little bit of a shift that that all realtors are happy about, and definitely buyers will definitely be excited about.
Okay, this
So
is
if we
this is good. Do you want to start with those stats and take a look at what we saw for Ottawa in the month of April?
Absolutely. So let's have a look at the month of April as we wait for the Ottawa Real Estate Board. So when we look at April, we have sold in the month of April over 2,400 residential properties compared to last year, which was only 911. That is an increase of 164%.
Wow, wow.
Just it's busy. And so the April sales also included 1,859 in the residential, which is up to 166% from last year, and 543 in the condo category, which is 155 up from last year as well. So the average for a condo is normally, 1830. So we're just well above what the average is.
So
So
we're
if we
we're
look
seeing more houses sell and condo sell, even though there's not a lot of inventory.
exactly, and what we're seeing, why the condo market is going so high is the fact that it's now become more affordable. In addition to the fact, if you think about it, we talk a lot about baby boomers and downsizers, and what we are seeing is people buying condos and then buying a cottage, right?
Ah,
People buying condos and downsizing from the big house that has 5 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms. And so that's what's driving the condo class market right now. So last year, so when we are talking about condos, we are seeing an average price now of just shy of 428,000, which is an increase of like 30% from last year.
wow.
And then our average residential home, which is insane because Annette, you and I talk all the time and we keep talking about what the average sale price is in the Ottawa market. And you and I have talked about it time and time again, and it keeps going up and up and up. So right now, the Ottawa market, the average sale price is 743, which is an
Wow.
increase of 42% from last year.
That's remarkable, Colleen. I mean, I remember you and I in recent years we've been doing this for a while, and we've talked about this every year. And I remember that when that number was like $400,000, or $500,000, which
Yeah,
makes sense
it
if it's
was.
gone up 42%. I, this, I get it leaves me a little speechless because, and I mean, no, everyone out there who's looking to sell or buy a home, this is going to come as no surprise. This is the result of what?
So this is the result of various things. And even though under COVID, and we do have record low interest rates, excuse me. And so the other thing that's interesting though is that the economy is still really strong in regards to people are saving more money because they stayed at home for a year. And there's a continued focus on living spaces during the pandemic. And so people are realizing that their home is their palace. Their
Yeah.
home is going to be their school and their office. And a lot of businesses, especially the high tech and the government, which is very much where Ottawa is focused on, government high tech, they are going to be told and have been told they are working from home indefinitely.
Mm.
That's an interesting thing that COVID has brought to us. And so when I'm out with my buyers and they are talking about the home that they need, people are actually upscaling because they realize they are going to be home. They need a home office. So
Interesting.
the open concept is not necessarily going to stay prominent. They are truly looking for a place for the kids to school and for them to work because they have been told they no longer are needed at the office.
Interesting stuff. Okay, so what I'm getting out of this is folks who are still working, a lot of government workers, looking for that bigger space because they need it for the office, schooling, and all of that. Folks who are close to retirement want to downsize, get the condo, get the cottage, have those spaces. So a real shift in movement. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, but as Colleen just alluded to there, what is the shift in the market? Is something finally changing?
Something is finally changing and a lot of realtors are breathing a sigh of relief. So where we're seeing a shift is we are seeing more homes come on the market. So thank goodness. So more options for our buyers. Yet also where the shift we are also seeing is before when people would sell their homes, we would see on average 10, 12, 15 offers. It was really difficult to secure a home as a buyer. It was great as a listing agent, yet it was highly competitive. And what we are seeing now is a little bit of a shift in the fact that we are not seeing as many offers on a home. Perfect example, I wrote 3 offers myself yesterday and there were only 3 offers on each individual one. So we are seeing a nice shift in the fact that the market is not as aggressive as it used to be.
That is good.
It is a good news. It absolutely is.
So then your chances of securing that home, if you're the buyer, are a little bit greater. If you're now 1 in 3 putting in a bid versus 1 in 15, your odds go up. What does that mean for the sellers?
So great question. So the big thing with sellers right now, we now need to address sellers' mindset. And so the mindset of sellers needs to be shifted to this new market. And as we talked about, I would like to see that shift educated to the sellers. I have a perfect story for you. So we had buyers who were bidding on a cottage just outside of Carleton Place, and the home was listed for $500,000. And they did say that they were allowing preemptive offers, or as it's crudely called, bully offers.
Mm-hmm.
And so these clients put in a bully offer at 625. That's 125 over asking. And the seller themselves said, well, we were hoping for 7.
Wow.
And I was like, no. And the other realtor did not educate them probably in the best way, but sellers can get very stuck in their minds about the fact, no, we're in a seller's market, so I should get a lot more.
Yeah.
And so again, the offer was 625 and they said, no, we're going to wait for the final offer date. And due to my particular buyers were just a little upset about their attitude, and so they walked away. Again, their offer was 625 and it ended up selling for 619.
Wow. That's a
So
good story. That's a good story because it really shows that if you're selling your house right now and you're hearing stories like we've been sharing here for months now, 100, 200 over asking, that might not be the case. Now, how much does that have to do? Because I had a conversation with somebody in the last 2 months about what the listing price means. And he said to me, he was a mortgage broker, and he said, it almost doesn't mean anything anymore because people are listing at a price knowing that they will get more, but that price might be what it's actually really worth. But they have no control because the market dictates what's going to happen. Does the listing price still kind of mean nothing anymore?
It does. I think, again, we're going to see that shift. I had a really interesting conversation with a colleague of mine, and the shift is happening. So initially, for the first 4 months of this market, we had a mindset of we are going to offer 100,000 over asking, 120 over asking.
Yeah.
But the mindset was basically 100 over asking. And so if you were looking for a $700,000 home, a $500,000 home, you would search 100,000 over asking. So you had that mobility. I don't feel that that is going to continue. I don't think, and again, I want to address, it's not going to drop. So everyone, it depends on the realtor. I don't think that the market is going to drop. I think it's finally going to balance out a little bit. And yet the listing price is still a mentality depending on where you're at. A lot of people still have the mentality, I need to offer 100,000 over asking. So if you're hoping to get 750 for your home, listing at 635 might be the way, because if you list at 700, people are not looking at your home going, well, it's worth 800.
Right.
So there's still that buyer education and that mentality where we need to offer a lot more. And so that's why the price point is going a little on the left-hand side.
I tell you, it is the most competitive market and stressful. There's no doubt. Colleen, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to continue this conversation. Give you the best answer she can give you. Colleen, we've talked a lot about the shift. We're starting to see a little shift, which in this market is a good thing. It's been a stressful few months for a lot of people who are buying and selling and trying to manage it, and going in knowing that if they put an offer on a house, it used to be that you'd have a bit of an advantage, you seem to be the one in the driver's seat as the buyer. That hasn't been the case for some time. And then, of course, you're competing against 30 other people potentially who all want that house with no idea what the offers are going to be. Are we going to see, in your opinion, a change in that? Because some people say, look, it's just not fair. I'm putting my best foot forward, but maybe I have a little bit more wiggle room and I'm willing to fight just a little bit more, like another $5,000 if I know I'm that close. But when you don't get to know, because everyone put their best offer in at 5 o'clock on such and such date, are we going to see a change in that, or is that the way we're moving in real estate from here on out?
I absolutely love this question. So thank you for that, Annette. I love that. Love, love, love that. So the way that when we go into multiple offers, it really is a game of poker. And yes, a lot of buyers, and I feel for you, is the fact that you don't get to know what the other offer is. But if you think about it, that would be clearly unfair. And what we saw in the Toronto market, there are actually offers happening, and we're going to possibly see them being forbidden here, where whatever the higher offer is, then I'll offer 5,000 more. Like that, it's just unfair. And so what I do with my buyers is what I call the cringe factor. It's the cringe factor.
Yeah.
You really want this home at 123 Main Street? Lovely. Okay, it's listed at 400,000 and it's lovely. Okay, Colleen, well, we're willing to offer 425 for it. Okay, wonderful. That's great. I'm willing to write the offer. If you lose it for 427, would you be upset? Oh, yes, we would. Okay, well, can you afford 427? Yes, we can. Okay, now we're at 427. And then it is, okay, now are we at 430? No, we're not comfortable with 430.
Mm-hmm.
Then we're at 427, 123.
Yeah.
Is that okay? Yeah. And if you lose it at 429, are you okay? Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things. It's a Colleen Lyle phrase. I call it the cringe factor, yet it's very much of what you're comfortable offering.
Yeah.
And what's really interesting is that anybody who we've worked with this year has already made money on their home. So for all our viewers out there,
right,
even if they bought last year or even within this last 6 to 8 months, I think they'd be surprised how much money they've made on their homes, and it might be worth looking into because we often talk about investing into real estate, etc. So we're seeing that shift, but I love that question, Annette, and thank you for asking
All
it.
right, we do have another question. We only have about a minute left, so we'll get to it quickly. And Michelle writes, we live in Richmond, and we're seeing houses around us go for $170,000 over asking price without any house inspection, which seems so risky. What is your advice on that when there are 30 plus other people putting in offers and willing to forego an inspection? It just feels impossible to compete with that. What do you say, Colleen?
So I love that question too. It's a great question. By the way, Richmond has got to be one of my favorite towns. There are some very high-end builders in Richmond. Some of the best builders actually exist in Richmond. And so with that, we're definitely not seeing 30 offers anymore. So what I would say to someone who it can be risky, you have to look at the home itself. Is it under the 7-year plan? So it may be covered under Terry warranty. So some of those issues that you're concerned about. And then I ask my buyers, what are you actually concerned about with a building inspection? Because when you look at a building inspection, it may be caulking, it may be a broken window seal. Those things are very, very minor. Even in older homes, which is what I live in, I definitely probably have a foundation crack, and yet a foundation crack could be anywhere from $300 to $1,000 difference.
Right.
And would that prevent me from buying a home? Maybe, maybe not.
Yeah.
What I also encourage people, if they are holding back offers, then you might want to consider doing a pre-building inspection, which is always an option. If if they are holding firm on a certain offer date,
Yeah.
then you can spend the $500 and do a pre-building inspection and then remove the clause after the fact because you've already done it.
Great idea and great answer there, because I think in a lot of cases it's depending on the home, depending on the circumstances, right? I mean, we are seeing people going in with no conditions in order to try and have a more lucrative and winning bid. Maybe not always the best case. It's been happening, no doubt. Colleen, great conversation today on a topic that's always very hot in our city, of course, real estate. All the information there right up on your screen. If you'd like to give Colleen a call, certainly a lot of those questions can be answered by a realtor, no doubt.